So I didn't just take you here because I scout out locations to make it seem really exciting when I take video. I was actually just hiking here. I was just hiking here, looking at all this wonderful terrain and remembering having come here so many times before. And I thought, you know, let me go ahead and give an update from here because this is so beautifully distressed, this area, and it matches a lot of what I'm thinking right now. So check this out. Down below, that used to be in one piece. These little sidewalks, yeah, they all connected. They weren't broken off like that. That wasn't very long ago. Mother Nature. I love it when everything that we create, not all the time, but I love it a lot, when everything we create that is way too much, that's overindulgent, that is just way too much about buying stuff, gets taken over by nature. And that is a beautiful thing to me. One day, not yet, but one day we'll actually do the things that we do and have them work in tandem with nature much better. And this is not a save the earth kind of video. I'm not saying that. I'm just, as an artist, I love the feeling of seeing things in distress because that's where beauty gets born, unfortunately. And this thing down there was in one piece not very long ago, as I started saying a bit ago. About 16 years ago, none of this was here. I brought my son here, and all of this was not around. This was just a bunch of hills with a bunch of trees, and I would take my son out here and we'd just toddle around together. And then fast forward about 2 years after that, there was a bunch of tractors here digging up all the trees, and there was just mounds and mounds of mud and rocks everywhere. I took my son again here, and we took a rock home as a commemoration to the event that this little piece of the woods was no longer. He was sad about that at that time. I was kind of like, yeah, you know, these things happen. I'm a dad and I'm supposed to be a voice of reason and be like, yeah, it's tough when the woods disappears, but there's going to be a lot of opportunity, yada, yada, yada. And then fast forward from that, maybe, oh man, I want to say he was in elementary school. So he's 20 now. So maybe 6 years ago, maybe a little bit more, maybe 7 years ago, we went splunking under the green. And how did we do that? That was installed, and it was in one solid piece. And over there in the corner where you see only one hole, there's a second hole hiding underneath that tree that him and I traveled under the green. So amazing. But again, time and nature taking over what we consider progress. But it does produce some beautiful distress. And here's some more beautiful distress. As I'm walking around here, just minding my own business, I come across this. And I made sure there was nobody's name on this. So I wouldn't identify anybody. But check this out. How beautiful is that? Minus all the seeds. Those are mine. I was eating here. Pistachios. But check out the distress of this paper and the things that were written on it. There's something beautiful about this adversity. All that ink just bled, just like potentially this person who came out here. I'm imagining this, of course, but I imagine this person was trying to figure out how much money he needed or she needed for something. This looks like, yeah, 365 days a year. And maybe they're trying to figure out how to do living expenses. I don't know. I could be extrapolating. But that sounds distressful. And being over here where nobody else is, this looks like a little path someone might, like me, come out here to be alone, to get some think time. So potentially this person was getting some think time to figure out how the heck they were going to survive over the next year. But this isn't why I brought you out here. This is just something that hit me all of a sudden and I wanted to share. Let me take you where I really want to take you. So that's where we were, across that little river, that sewage river, a little while ago. Here's where we are right now. Here's where I was about 3 years and 3 months ago, to the day, exactly. And back then, the sunset, as we see it over there, was actually over there. But we're later in the year, so it's a few degrees that way. But 3 years and 3 months ago, I had just finished coming out of that building. I had watched a movie called Yesterday, and I was at the same place right now recording a video where I talked about that movie, authenticity, and a cool dude I met called Paul, who I worked on a music video parodying one of the Beatles songs, which that movie was about actually, Yesterday. That was a long time ago. And I also talked about an opportunity that I was super excited about. By the way, this is where I wanted to take you. That's where we were. This is where I wanted to take you. This is the moment I talked about that idea that I had been wanting to do all my life. I finally put my money where my mouth was. And it's so cool that I didn't know that it was going to be 3 years and 3 months later, and I'd still be working on it. It's so cool that I didn't know it was going to take that long, and it's so cool that I didn't know there was a pandemic right around the corner. July 2019, the neurons that were going through my head were, oh yeah, this is a great time to start a business. Had I known those two things, the amount of time that it was going to take and the pandemic, there would have been some different neurons firing for sure. Not starting a new business. Here's the awesome sunset. Check that out. And as the sun sets again on another crazy night, I think back to that day that I recorded that video. And Paul is no longer. That dude, I don't know if it was pandemic related or not. I never found out. That's not the point. The point is that life is fleeting. We don't have as much time as we think we have. Only 3 years and 3 months ago, both my kids were still living in my house. Now, my son is 20 years old and he's on campus. And my daughter, I just dropped off at her senior prom. I'm still pretty excited about that idea that I mentioned 3 years and 3 months ago. And we're not there yet. We're getting close. And I am very excited to share that pretty soon. But the thought I want to leave you with is, what ideas are you sleeping on? What ideas and dreams are you taking to the grave with you? Few, hopefully. Few for me too, hopefully. All right, enough melodrama for one night. Now let me leave you with a quick preview of 2 of my coming attractions that I've been working on for a long time. Peace.